What's up, agents? Welcome back to another Division 2 video. Today, I will be breaking down 3 incredibly viable hybrid builds for soloing legendary difficulty in the Division 2. These hybrid builds are extremely powerful and will make soloing through endgame content in the Division 2 quick and easy. This list of builds includes a level 6 skill tier build with high weapon damage and heals, which utilizes the power of the ninja bike bag and the kinetic momentum talent. This will help you deal out a great amount of damage with the assault turret while providing you with an ample amount of heals and maintaining a high weapon damage output. You're gonna feel like Gandalf from the Lord of the Rings with this build as you melt enemies' armor and health bars. The next build on this list is a hybrid Umbra Initiative build with 6 skill tiers as well, capable of providing a great amount of heals while still being able to deal out an insanely high amount of weapon damage. This will give you the power to melt NPCs quickly even in legendary difficulty mode. Now, this last build on the list is not so much of a hybrid build, but is extremely powerful. This is an assault rifle build that uses the power of the Heartbreaker gear set and the Kingbreaker. This build just absolutely melts, and you will be reaching over 1 million critical hit damage per shot with this build with a full Heartbreaker stack, which makes it extremely effective at clearing legendary mode missions. So without further ado, let's get started. This hybrid skill build is perfect for anyone who wants to deal out skill damage and weapon damage while at the same time being able to heal yourself and maintain a safe distance from the enemy. Although this build is good at close range, it truly shines and is fantastic at mid to long range. If you enjoy using skill builds, you will find this build favorable, but this build is also great for anyone, to be honest. This is because this build can basically do everything. It provides great heals, weapon damage, and skill damage. The only downside is that some of the pieces may be a bit of a hassle trying to acquire. Nevertheless, it's well worth farming for the pieces. I'm using the Technician specialization for this build. The Technician specialization will give you an extra skill tier, which is nice and allows you to add more weapon damage or armor. Not only that, but Technician will give you either increased skill healing or increased skill damage, as you can see here. I chose to go with the 10% skill healing, but you can choose whatever you like. For the primary weapon, I'm using the Capacitor. This exotic assault rifle is truly one of the best weapons in the game, and if you have it, then I highly recommend using it with this build. What makes this gun extremely viable with this build is the weapon talent. You will basically gain 7.5% weapon damage for each skill tier you have. And since this build has 6 skill tiers, that comes out to a bonus 45% total weapon damage. Now, if you don't have the Capacitor, then just uninstall the game. I'm just kidding. If you don't have this weapon, a good alternative is the named high-end assault rifle test subject. This assault rifle comes with the talent perfectly in sync, so you will basically get 20% skill damage for 5 seconds upon shooting an enemy, and 20% weapon damage for 5 seconds when dealing damage to an enemy with your skill, and this is why the assault turret is a really nice skill to have. Worst case scenario, if you don't have the test subject, you can use any of your favorite weapons and simply roll the talent in sync on it. For the mask, I'm using the Empress International brand set for the 10% skill damage and skill efficiency, rolled with skill tier, critical hit damage and chance, and a 20% repair skills mod. For the vest, I'm using another piece of Empress International. I do have status effect on this, but ideally you want skill haste rolled here so we can speed up the cooldown on our skills. Skill damage, and a 12% skill haste mod. The talent kinetic momentum will increase your skill damage while in combat, and you can monitor this under your armor and health status bar. You will get 1% skill damage and 2% skill repair, stacking up to 15 times per skill. For the holster, I'm using Hana for the 10% skill haste, skill damage, and weapon damage, rolled with skill tier and crits, and for the knee pads, weapon damage and crits. For the gloves, I'm using the Brazos brand set for the 10% skill haste and extra skill tier, rolled with maxed out armor, 6% critical hit chance, and 20% repair skills. Last but not least, the ninja bike bag. This exotic backpack is amazing and is the staple for a lot of hybrid build setups. That's because of the talent, resourceful, slots in with any equipped gear set and or brand set item in order to fulfill a requirement towards unlocking a brand set bonus. So, in other words, by having this bag equipped, I will still be getting all 3 brand set bonuses from the Empress International set and the Hana set, just by having 2 pieces of them equipped, as well as the skill tier bonus from the Brazos from having just 1 piece equipped. For the stats, I'm at 50% critical hit chance and 111 critical hit damage on my Capacitor. For the skills, the Restorer Hive and Assault Turret will be your best bet. The next build on this list is the Umbra Initiative Hybrid Capacitor build. This build is designed for players who would like to deal out a ton of raw weapon damage from a mid to long range distance, while still being able to heal yourself as needed. All thanks to having 6 skill tiers, this build is highly viable at both heals and damage. You will find it very easy to eliminate NPCs with this build, making it a great choice for solo PvE. This is mainly because having 6 skill tiers will add 45% total weapon damage to the capacitor because of its talent capacitance. The Umbra Initiative gear set is really great for stacking up RPM and critical hit damage on your weapon. Combining that with one of the most powerful weapons in the Division 2, the Capacitor, we have a highly viable DPS hybrid heal build. This build performs great with the Technician specialization since you will be getting a bonus 10% skill healing as well as an extra skill tier. For the primary weapon, I'm using the Capacitor, and a good alternative will be the Test Subject or a weapon of your choice with the talent in sync. However, since this build has 6 skill tiers, I highly recommend using the Capacitor. The Capacitor can drop in the countdown mission with targeted loot set to assault rifles. Just make sure to run this mission on the highest difficulty so you have a higher chance of getting it to drop for you. For the mask, Umbra Initiative with skill tier rolled, critical hit chance, and a 12% critical hit damage mod. Having 2 pieces of Umbra will give you 15% critical hit chance, 3 pieces will give you 30% reload speed, and 4 pieces will unlock the gear set talent from the shadows into the light. While you are in cover with this talent active, you will gain 10 stacks per second up to 50. Each stack will give you 1% critical hit damage and a 0.3% RPM increase. However, you must be out of cover for the buff to apply, so as you are in cover, you build your stacks, and when your meter is full, you can get out of cover momentarily and begin firing with the buff active. For the chest piece, skill tier rolled with critical hit chance and a 12% critical hit damage mod. And for the knee pads, weapon damage rolled with maxed critical hit chance. Thanks to the Ninja Bike Bag, by having just 1 piece of Walker Harris for the gloves, I get 5% weapon damage and 5% damage to armor, with skill tier rolled and critical hit chance and damage. Now, for the holster, I'm wearing the named Brazos Picaros holster. This holster comes with 15% weapon damage, rolled with maxed armor, and 12% critical hit damage. One thing I forgot to mention is that the Ninja Bike Bag comes with all 3 major core attributes, and I have a maxed out critical hit damage mod. And for the stats, 58.5% critical hit chance and 133.7% critical hit damage on the Capacitor. Now, this last build on the list is easily one of the best PvE solo builds in the game, and the amount of damage that this build does is absurd. Having a 4-piece Heartbreaker set and stacking the damage that you get from the Heartbreaker stacks with Vigilance and the Coyote Mask will have you hitting like a freight train. That is because you will be hitting over 1 million critical hit damage per shot when you have a full Heartbreaker stack, which you can achieve very easily by using the ACS-12 shotgun. This is the best weapon to build your stacks up quickly. Then once you have your stacks up, just switch back to your primary weapon and go crazy. This build is suited for players who like mid to long range gunfights. Now, I made an SMG build video of the SIG MPX dealing out over 1 million critical hit damage similar to this, so consider this the AR version. If you are an SMG lover and like close combat fights, you can check that video out. I'll leave a link to it in the description. But anyway, for the primary weapon, I'm rocking the Kingbreaker, and for those who don't know, the Kingbreaker is a named assault rifle that comes with the talent Perfect Flatline. This talent will amplify weapon damage by 20% to pulsed enemies. This is why I chose to go with the Technician specialization for the linked laser pointer attachment. Although this attachment isn't required, it will definitely make it way easier to accumulate your Heartbreaker stacks. For the secondary weapon, I'm using the named ACS-12 shotgun, Rock and Roll. This weapon is fantastic for building stacks quickly and comes with a talent that provides a 50% increased magazine size, which is great because the bigger the mag, the faster it will be to get your Heartbreaker stacks, right? For the mask, I'm using the exotic Coyote Mask that will provide you with bonus critical hit chance and damage buff depending on your distance from the enemy. This buff also applies to your allies as well. For the backpack, 1-piece Gruppo for that sweet and spicy 15% critical hit damage. Having Vigilance with this build will give you 25% increased weapon damage. However, the downside is that the bonus weapon damage you get will go away for 4 seconds if you are hit. This is why using the Crusader Ballistic Shield is helpful because it will give you a layer of protection. For the vest, having 2 pieces of the Heartbreaker gear set will give you 15% assault rifle damage and LMG damage. 3 pieces will give you 15% weapon handling, and 4 pieces will unlock the Heartstopper talent. Having this talent active will apply pulse upon landing a headshot. Weapon hits on pulsed enemies add a stack of 1% bonus armor and 1% weapon damage to pulsed enemies up to a max of 50 stacks. Moreover, having the chest piece will further increase max stacks from 50 to 100 thanks to the max BPM talent. This is why having the Heartbreaker chest piece is important. With 116,000 and change armor, 6% critical hit chance, and a 12% critical hit damage mod. For the holster, max rolled armor and critical hit damage. And for the knee pads, max rolled armor and 6% critical hit chance. And for the gloves, maxed rolled armor and 12% critical hit damage. For the skills, the Crusader Ballistic Shield and Decoy work the best. And for the stats, 56% critical hit chance and 120% critical hit damage on the Kingbreaker. So there you have it, guys. Those were 3 highly viable builds for you to solo any legendary difficulty mission or most endgame content with ease. I hope these builds help and that you've gotten value from this video. This is Prajna, and if you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section. Keep it cool, keep it classy, and peace out.